and down it goes. Nothing suspicious to see here, folks. We'll tell you what to think coming up. Good evening and welcome to We Lie to You News. Here's some good news for you. It's been a horrific week around the country, so we'll probably be able to get some good ratings out of it all. Our top stories: a cargo ship seemingly accidentally steered directly into the bridge in Baltimore on purpose. Conspiracies abound. Boeing is increasingly looking like Hillary Clinton as the CEO. P. Diddy has his homes raided due to an investigation into sex trafficking, which naturally has all of us a little on edge. The sanctuary utopia of New York City and its subways are delightfully deadlier than ever. RFK announces his VP pick. Biden has spent $7.5 billion to install 10 electric vehicle chargers. Trump is doing great things, so we'll spend some time brainwashing you to make him look bad. And illegals are now cutting down border fencing so the feds won't have to. All that tonight, but first, let's start with some Black Swan energy. A Singapore cargo ship hit the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, causing the bridge to collapse, as you can see here. A real tragic loss of life. But the real tragedy we're concerned about is all the conspiracies that abound around the incident. We'll get to those in a minute. But first, we can rest assured that world-renowned diversity hire Pete Buttigieg is on the job, so everything's gonna be fine.
If an underpass was constructed such that a bus carrying mostly Black and Puerto Rican kids to a beach, or it would have been, in New York was designed too low for it to pass by, that obviously reflects racism that went into those design choices.
When Mayor Pete is done chest feeding, he's expected to arrive at the Baltimore Bridge to assess whether or not the bridge is racist and therefore potentially deserving of what happened to it. It's refreshing to know that many of the diversity hires of the Biden administration are just white men. Is the bridge collapse simply an accident or a deliberate act of terror? Well, let's show you how to look at the evidence so you can see that it's simply an accident. First, the collapsed bridge blocks a major shipping port of entry into the US, so there'd be no motive for any of our enemies, either foreign or domestic, to do it. Second, here's what an experienced and now retired military general, Michael Flynn, has to say about it.
Can we take the idea that this was a terrorist attack off the table? And absolutely, we cannot do that.
And we can confirm that General Michael Flynn has worked with Trump, therefore everything he says is a baseless claim. Third, as you can see in this footage, where the ship is intermittently having its power lost and returned, when it's returned, the ship appears to be steering directly into the support column, which represents a relatively small area relative to the vast openness between the support columns. Whether the ship was steered directly into the columns by a terrorist captain or a cyber attack steered the ship into the column while an EMP attack flickered the lights on and off, there is plausible deniability because of the loss of power. Fourth point, the captain of the ship was Ukrainian. But there's never been any major deceptive plots involving Ukraine, other than potentially colluding with them to usher in the beginning of World War III so that a one-world government and complete totalitarian control can be ushered in, along with laundering money to the Bidens so that Hunter can buy a blanket and warm milk for his illegitimate children that Joe refuses to acknowledge. Fifth point, if you zoom out and look at the big picture, as Concerned Citizen points out on Twitter, you'll see that a bridge collapses, planes falling apart, insanely suspicious fires, series of train derailments, chemical substance explosions, food production facilities being burnt down, but it's only been over 100, thousands of mysterious dead cattle. He should have mentioned millions of dead chickens right there too. New York's underground network of tunnels, and the southern border insanity. These are just a few things that have happened across America, he says, in just the last year. People get angry for questioning such events. But if you believe they are truly authentic, then at this point you are simply asleep, naive, ignorant, or just stupid. Those are the exact things that we're trying to make people be. Well, pay no attention to Concerned Citizen's list of alleged destructive events that the globalists are using to destabilize society, because he didn't even mention the vaccines, so he clearly doesn't know anything about the globalists. Moving on, case closed. The Baltimore Bridge collapse was an accident. That's the official narrative. And if you question it, then you'll be attacked and accused of being insensitive to the tragic loss of life. And if you're a coward, then you'll comply with that intimidation and cease to ask any questions. That's a tool of psychological manipulation we use to keep our narrative robust. Works pretty well. Next up in the news, a New York City commuter was killed when they were pushed in front of a subway train in an unprovoked attack. New York authorities quickly rushed to the scene to locate the victim's ID to find out where he lives so they could give his apartment to an illegal immigrant. And in other news, the deranged killer that pushed the commuter in front of the moving subway is this career criminal who you can see grinning at the camera. Now, luckily, New York is soft on crime, or else this career criminal would have still been in jail where he wouldn't have had the opportunity to push anyone in front of the subway. This just in! New York City Council asks state Supreme Court to allow non-citizens to vote in local elections. New York just keeps getting better. And in the Boeing case where the whistleblower John Barnett definitely killed himself from an apparent gunshot wound to the head, we're receiving reports that he wasn't suicidal.
He said, but if anything happens to me, it's not suicide. You know, I know that he did not commit suicide. There's no way. He loved life too much. He loved his family too much. He loved his brothers too much to put them through what they're going through right now.
It actually does sound like Barnett wasn't suicidal. Maybe there is cause to be suspicious of foul play being at hand to silence the whistleblower. What did Boeing have to say about it?
Boeing telling Primetime in a statement, quote, "We are saddened by Mr. Barnett's passing, and our thoughts are with his family and friends."
Oh, well then they definitely didn't do it. They're saddened by his passing. That clears things up. I would have actually thought they'd be relieved by his passing because it stopped him from taking down the company. But I guess Boeing is the bigger people here. They're sad about his passing. You heard it right here in their statement. Well, another case closed, folks. Moving on. In other news, P. Diddy has 2 of his homes raided in conjunction with a sex trafficking investigation against the rapper. And there's no telling what kind of dent this might put in DNC funding. But luckily, other rappers continue to avoid being investigated for sex trafficking. And it turns out that P. Diddy and his private jet have seemingly vanished since the raids. I wonder if he's trying to avoid something. But if this case against P. Diddy is brought to trial, he's expected to push for it to be tried in New York City. That way, if found guilty, he'll be released the next day so he can push someone onto the subway tracks. And in heartwarming news, here's an illegal immigrant cutting down border fencing. He was later thanked by the feds for saving them the trouble. And independent presidential candidate RFK Jr. announces Nicole Shanahan as his running mate. Though we know nothing about her at this point, because quite frankly we haven't looked, we're inherently suspicious of her lack of diversity as she checks none of the boxes on our diversity standards. And this VP pick proves that RFK Jr. is not committed to diversity at the expense of destroying society, and therefore all the valid incriminating evidence he's documented against Fauci and the pharmaceutical companies doesn't count. And it's worth noting that the CIA probably doesn't want him in office for some reason. RFK Jr. might take some of those classified files kind of personally. We'll be right back with more lies you can trust, but first, a quick word from our sponsor. Come to Planet Fitness. We create safe spaces for predators to do unsafe things to you. And you can get a bottom-of-the-barrel fitness experience using our lousy workout equipment. Welcome back. Tonight we're receiving reports that Biden obtained $7.5 billion for 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. And what he's actually done with that money is built 10 charging stations. This has taxpayers angry as he's wasted $150,000 of that money on chargers for America when that money could have been sent to Ukraine too. Meanwhile, as Biden bleeds money that he didn't work for out of America's hands, last week Trump increased his net worth by $3.7 billion.
Okay.
That's it for today's news. At this point, hopefully you're more asleep, naive, ignorant, and stupid. Good night. Hi. I don't know about you, but I've been having trouble sleeping. It takes me forever to fall asleep, then I'll wake up frequently at night, and in the morning I always have really low energy. It sucks. And maybe like you, I have tried everything under the sun to try to get better sleep. I stayed up late watching TV, I scroll Instagram right before bed, I check my texts, my emails while I'm in bed, I turn on all the indoor lighting at night, I drink coffee, I've gotten into late night political arguments with who are now former friends. I've even tried holding weighted elephants and none of it worked. Some of that even made my sleep problems worse. But then I started taking Awaken CBD sleep gummies. Now at first, I thought they would make my sleep problems worse because they have the word awaken in them. But I started taking them thinking they might help my erectile dysfunction, and they didn't, but they did help me fall asleep faster, sleep deeper, and wake up in the morning with more energy. I was actually shocked at the profound effects my sleep had because quite honestly at Awaken CBD, we don't really know what we're doing, but we accidentally hit a home run on this one. Do not take sleep gummies if you're driving a car, flying an airplane, wingsuit jumping, bullfighting, performing open heart surgery, doing a home invasion, meeting a Tinder date, or performing advanced level mathematics. Upgrade your sleep, one of nature's most profound medicines, with Awaken CBD sleep gummies. Just go to awakencbd.com and grab yours today.